Cuba approved same-sex marriage law in landmark referendum. Cool. Sweeping family law code allows same-sex couples to marry and adopt and promote equal sharing of domestic rights and responsibilities between men and women. The reforms also allow surrogate pregnancies and punish gender violence. Had met unusually strong open resistance from groups including the growing Evangelical movement in Cuba. Oh no, it's growing. Uh-oh. Despite an extensive government campaign in favor of the measure. It's in an unusual referendum. How is it unusual? Do they not hold referendums like this? When was the last time we had a referendum in America? Do we ever? Literally, that would be, I mean, Congress isn't getting anything done, right? So maybe we should hold a referendum on something. It has to be a nationwide referendum, though, because then it'll be like, we gotta get the popular vote out in force. Maybe that's why we don't do it, because the Republicans know that they would lose a public referendum, right? Cuban voters overwhelmingly approved new laws allowing same-sex couples to marry and adopt. Broader rights for grandparents with their grandchildren and measures against gender violence. That's cool. Legalize same-sex marriage. And a family code that extends greater protection to women, children, and the elderly. It will now allow LGBT couples to marry and adopt children. Honestly, I'm surprised that this is not already a thing in Cuba. Because, I mean, Cuba has like a left-wing government, right? But maybe it's not so left-wing in some ways. I mean, it's very conservative. It's like authoritarian left, so it's like very conservative. But hey, it looks like they're moving in the right direction. About 2/3 of the population voted to approve reforms in a new family code, which will also allow surrogate pregnancies and give gay couples the right to adopt children. So are surrogate pregnancies illegal? That doesn't really make sense, but I guess that's a medical procedure that has to be approved. Marks a big moment for Cuba, which saw gay people persecuted and sent to work camps in the 1960s and 70s. Yeah, that did happen, unfortunately. Yeah, authoritarian leftists can be just as bigoted as alt-right. They can be. They often are not, but they can be. Nobody beats alt-right when it comes to bigotry. There was significant opposition to the reforms among religious groups and conservatives, of course. Typical. The usual suspects. Referendum on Sunday was for a new family code, a 100-page document which went through more than 24 drafts and hours of debate in community-level meetings. Now, can you imagine if we had this kind of democracy, this level of democracy in America? Like, America's just barely a democracy, right? We barely have the right to call ourselves a democracy. Yeah, it's kind of pathetic. Americans don't even know, like, what real, like, an actual representative democracy looks like. Because, like, when was the last time the government represented the needs of, like, a majority of its citizens? Cuba's government had backed up the law change and ran a nationwide campaign urging people to approve it. Yeah, wait, the government backed the law change and then wanted to convince the people to approve it. Is like, instead of the government just changing the law, they have to ask the people to approve it. Is Cuba like more democratic than America? I'd have to look that up. Cause what like community level meetings are there in America where there are hours of debate? So for like a nationwide law change to pass in America, all that's needed is like the approval of the representatives in the House and the Senate, right? And then the president has to sign it. But in Cuba, the government has to send the bill back to the people. Is that right? And they have to approve it. That's like literally more democratic than what we have in America, is it not? Yeah, I'm gonna have to look that up. Yeah, what's Cuba's system of government like? Because it seems like as an American, when I learn about how other countries operate, it's like, oh wow, that's so much better. Why don't we do that here? It's like as Americans, we're so ignorant of other countries. Like a lot of Americans just like are told that America is the best at everything, and they just believe it without even like bothering to learn about other countries. You gotta think it's like on purpose on some level, right? I'm gonna move this over here. So like when I learned about like how parliamentary democracy works, like instead of electing a president, the party selects a prime minister, like because in America the presidential election is like so super important, and it's just to elect one guy to one office, right? It's like unironically the office of the president has way too much power. It's like being the king of America for 4 years, and it's like 4 years. It's way too long. It's like the election of Donald Trump was like one mistake. It was a fluke, really. And we got 4 years of hell because of it. It's like there has to be some way of course, like, they can have a vote of no confidence in the House or the Senate, but that would never happen because of the Republicans. I guess, yeah, the Republicans have to go for any, like, good change to occur. I guess that's the step one. Speaking as he voted on Sunday, the president, Miguel Diaz-Canel, said he expected most of the population would vote yes, and that the new code would reflect the diversity of people, families, and beliefs. On Monday, preliminary results indicated an irreversible trend, with 66% of votes counted so far in favor of the reform. Electoral Council President Elena Balciero said on state television, according to AFP news agency. The law required 50% of voters' approval to be adopted, and it's 66%, so that's a pretty big margin. Yes, this is an irreversible trend. Yeah, it seems like lots of places in the world are moving towards being more accepting to different different lifestyles, different sexualities and genders, which is a good thing. America's really leading. Is America leading the way? I guess it's the West in general. Like Western European countries are like more progressive than America in that sense, but it's like, yeah, authoritarian leftists that are bigoted will say it's cultural imperialism to for America to like spread the global homo agenda abroad. Yeah, that's a term that the far right uses. The global homo initiative. Yeah, we're gonna turn the whole world gay, and there's nothing you can do to stop us. Hell yeah, baby. Yeah. And then the right wing will pick up on the left saying it's cultural imperialism, and like repackage that in like a way that's palatable. Like the globalists want to turn people gay, right? I think Jackson Hinkle is using the term globalist a lot to appeal to like the MAGA types. He wants to do MAGA communism, which is stop trying to make MAGA communism happen, Jackson. It's not gonna happen. And of course, the right wing is totally for actual imperialism, but cultural imperialism, no thank you. Official attitudes towards homosexuality on the communist-run island have changed over the past decades, partly thanks to the efforts of former leader Raul Castro's daughter Mariela. In the early part of communist leader Fidel Castro's rule after the 1959 revolution, homosexual men and women were sent to work camps for supposed re-education. Oh, so they're being groomed into being straight. Great. Yeah, again, the off-left can be as bigoted as off-right sometimes. It's like, I guess there are leftists on economic issues, but like on cultural issues, not so much. Yeah, it's like you want to abolish the hierarchy of the economic hierarchies that keep people oppressed, but as for like the sexual gender hierarchies that keep people oppressed, those are great, they think. Yeah, it's why intersectionality is important. You gotta realize oppressive hierarchies are bad in general. Unjust hierarchies are bad. All around. However, many in Cuba still oppose the step, including evangelical churches and many other non-religious conservatives. Parts of the opposition also campaigned for a no vote, urging Cubans to seize a unique opportunity to hand the country's communist government a defeat in the polls. Ooh, first ever LGBTQ hotel opens. You know, that hotel is gonna be lit. Especially after this ruling, or this law passing. Oh, that hotel is gonna be party central. There's gonna be so much gay sex happening there, so much degenerate shit. Hell yeah. Can't wait. Hey, maybe I'll take a vacation to Cuba sometime, right? I'll see, can't you fly to Mexico and then to Cuba? Because you can't fly directly from America, because America's still salty about Cuba becoming commie. Yeah. Some anti-gov activists consider the referendum an effort by the state to improve its human rights image following a brutal crackdown on all forms of dissent in recent years. Yeah, that's not a good look. The referendum also comes during a serious energy crisis, which has led to daily power cuts affecting millions of people across the island. So yeah, they're like, oh, you don't have any power, but what you do have is gay sex. Congratulations. You can't read at night, so instead, suck your homies off. There's no more TV to watch, so instead, you and your homies can entertain each other. Hell yeah. I mean, maybe it is like, they're kind of giving them a treat, right, to calm them down. Yeah, there were protests in Cuba a while ago, but it seems like they were protesting like the failed response to the COVID pandemic and like the COVID lockdowns. Those are being protested, right? But the right wing in America spun it as the Cubans are fighting for their freedom against an oppressive, the oppressive commie government. But seems like a lot of the protesters were left wing themselves. Yeah. Okay, well. Yeah, that's it for that story. Yeah, so attitudes towards homosexuality changed over the past decades due partly to the efforts of former leader Raul Castro's daughter, Mariela. So, yeah, one good thing about like authoritarian governments is like if you have the right person in power, then they can do a lot of good, but usually the right person is not in power, right? And it's just the government is just used to like oppress people and keep them controlled. But hey, we got lucky with Mariela. Hope she's doing okay. I hope she's having lots of hot lesbian sex now. Maybe she's maybe she's just a cis het ally. Either way, good for Cuba. This big win for Cuba.